Alright, Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, what time is it?
It's 1 p.m.
Alexa, what is today's date?
Today is Friday, June 21st.
Alexa, what is this year?
This year is 2019.
Right, so my name is Christian Noggle, and that's who this letter or note is addressed to. You know, in recent years, the Me Too movement and other activists, they're essentially a solution in search of a problem. And people who are trying to fix something that's not broken have really, in this decade of the 2010s, have really done a lot to accelerate the poisoning of human relations and stuff. There's a reason why I bring this up. This here is my evidence of the differential between how I treat women who make advances at me and how women treat me, even at times when I don't make advances at them. Women, females, people call them girls, even though they're like 20, 30, and 40 years old. Anyway, it's just showing the double standard, the differentials and things. So, I want to read this. Alright, this was written by a girl, female, by the name of Miranda Mathis, who's gotten married since then, so her last name changed to Hawes. She's always been nice to me, so I don't think she's a bad person or anything like that, and she just, what it was is she's like any other human, has feelings and things like that, and that's fine. Okay, I mean, it's quite natural. This is why I don't get mad at people, because, we all have this undercurrent of our thoughts and feelings, and how we act on those and what we do and how it affects other people is more of a determining factor of, like, what's right or wrong or whatever. But this was in, what's the date on this? Okay. May 29th, 1998 is when I received this, okay? This was given to me, okay? The backstory on this is there's a family that I was friends with, and because one of the people in this family was a friend of mine that I played guitar with. Well, his little sister at the time had a crush on me, okay? And in the early 2000s, she would call me up on the phone periodically and sing love songs to me. Okay, so she likes me. That's fine. Why I did not get together with her, even though she would show, her feelings for me, is because she was too young at the time. She was born in the fall of 1986. I was born in the spring of 1980. So there was a age differential. She was underage at the time, so I just friend-zoned her, right? I mean, I didn't think anything bad about her. She was always nice to me, right? So, and then Miranda at the time, being 3 years younger than me, I was 18 and she was 15. My friend-zoned her. I'd socialize with her just on a rare occasion, because she didn't come around, like, my friend's house, like, really often, because she was just one of their cousins. So anyway, I'm going to read this love note. Alright, it says, Christian, the first time I saw you, I couldn't take my eyes off of you. Didn't you notice? That's when, now, when I see you, I have to turn away because I think naughty thoughts. But when I do look at you, it makes me... Is that H-A-R-D? Well, anyway. And I tend to grab myself. I hope to see you undressed soon. X's and O's. Love ya, Miranda. Yep. This family used to just do sexual pranks and jokes and gags at me and stuff like that, just for fun. Nowadays it'd be considered bullying, but it was just part of life back then. And they're just people, it's not like they actually hated me or had any bad feelings toward me or they're not trying to do any ill will or anything like that. It just, that's the way it is, just people do that kind of stuff. I consider that to be in a acceptable margin of error or tolerable range of human behaviors to deviate from like a universal standard code of conduct, right? I mean, to do it that way, to see it the way I do is something that still adheres to the rules and laws and regulations for upholding the social fabric of society, but at the same time, it still respects people for their individuality, right? Because some rules are just so impractical to try to police verbatim. So anyway, yep, this is the love letter that I got. Now, this happened in May of 1998. Now, in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, and so forth, this girl's cousin Whitney would call me up on the phone and sing love songs to me. Specifically, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do I'm half crazy, all for the love of you, and that sort of thing. And then you would just see that she would, she'd have feelings of attraction to me, and she just didn't know how to deal with her feelings, but she wanted some kind of reaction from me or whatever. And then I remember the time when I took her and her friends to Kentucky Kingdom, Six Flags theme park or amusement park in Louisville, Kentucky. Back in the spring of 2001, I was 21, and then Whitney was 14, and then her friends were in their teens, and then like the friend's mom was like worried about like an older guy taking them to a place, and I understand and that sort of thing. Just be parentally cautious, but Whitney and like her family assured like their friends' parents that I was, fine and responsible. And we went and it was fine, and I didn't even go on any rides because once I got in my early 20s, my body chemistry started changing, and I'd get like motion sick. But I like the environment. I like looking at like all the colorful merchandise and the signs and the paint on everything, and it's just nice. I just walk around, and then people end up thinking that I was security there. Because I like being in that kind of environment. I just don't like participating in it because I get motion sick. Whenever I go to the to the fairgrounds and other places, I'm borderline getting motion sick on the little kids rides. Even though I like all that kind of stuff, I can't handle it anymore. And there's a video on YouTube of this one ride at the county fair that spins just really, really fast with centrifugal forces. And my son got on that ride, and I didn't feel like I could, let him ride it by himself because I wanted to be responsible. And so I got on there too, kind of the whole parental duties. And I almost blacked out. I closed my eyes almost as soon as the ride started, and I felt like I was like floating out in space and hanging on for dear life, and I got really motion sick afterward, and like the paramedics were gone already for the end of the evening at the fairgrounds. And then so some lady seeing me and was worried about my health, and then contacted the police, who were still there. And the police looked at me because they were the only authorities there at the time, and they had me sit in that motorhome mobile command center and in a chair trying to recover. And they were all worried about me because they didn't know my medical history, right? They call an ambulance. I ride in the ambulance, and it was such a bumpy ride, and that thing has like no suspension system, it feels like. And it was an agonizing experience. I just really probably would have been feeling better walking the 4 miles, I think it was, to the hospital. 3 or 4, anyway, it would have probably felt better. And then it was like a multi-$1,000 bill to be in the emergency room, just laying there in a hospital bed watching TV for half an hour. And then after that, my motion sickness stopped, and I just signed myself out and left. And it's a multi-$1,000 emergency room visit. But why I'm bringing this up is because there's a big difference between how I treat females and how females treat me. And I'm just really tired of the respect-destroying double standards. It's just depressing. So, I don't hate the girls and women that have flirted with me throughout the years. They're humans. They're people too, we have the hustle and bustle of life, but you got these females these days that are just so hyper, like, reactive. They just overreact over the slightest thing. Case in point is earlier this week at the store that I work at, I was helping a customer with a Wi-Fi router, and then while he was deciding what he wanted to purchase, and he hadn't rang out yet, a girl came up to me. Well, young woman. She's like 24 years old. She's in her mid-20s. Had come up to me and requested me to help her find a tablet. Okay, so I did. I felt bad about ringing up that other customer for the Wi-Fi router, so I'm tracking my productivity, because we do actually have productivity goals as proof that we're helping customers instead of hanging out in the break room. So anyway, this girl in her mid-20s, her name was Aubrey Schallers, and how I found that out, she's a rewards member in our system and wants to attach her rewards points to her purchase, and also makes her transactions traceable in the system in case you lose your receipt and you need to exchange something. So I had to ask her for her phone number, and then ask her the name to look it up in the system and attach her rewards membership points on there, right? That's how I found out who she was. Well, I didn't know that at the time when I was helping her with the tablet. I was just straight to business, look up, in the front cage for this model tablet, and then the other model tablet was in the other display case. I had to get the keys, and she apologized several times, like I think at least twice, and she said she's, worried that I was going to hate her or whatever, be upset at her for, like, her making me do all this extra work because she was indecisive about a tablet. And I told her, oh, no, it's all fine, that sort of thing. But then when we got to the register, she apologized again, and she was, like, super nice, like, no indication of being a frustrated or problematic person. And then, like I think about 2 days later, it was yesterday, June 20th, 2019, yeah, I looked her up on Facebook, found that she's got a mutual friend with me, who is Marvin Johnson, and I figure, well, then I'll send her a message. Did not send her a friend request. Did not flirt with her. And I sent her a message, saying, hope that I'm not upsetting her by looking her up on Facebook and sending her this message. I just told her that, I was worried that she was going to think that I hated her or whatever. Because she put me through extra work trying to decide which, as she tried to decide which tablet she should get for her mom and that sort of thing, and that, letting her know there's no hard feelings and that sort of thing, and that, sometimes it takes some time to make a purchase. It took me 2 months to decide what television I want to buy, like which model or whatever. Took me 11 months to decide to buy a Nintendo Switch and just all this stuff. So I was trying to relate with her, and let her know that, that she shouldn't be upset at herself or think that I'm mad at her or whatever. And I told her that I appreciate that she was patient while I rang up the other customer who was in line before her. And then a little backstory on that customer while they were buying the router, because the electrical storm earlier this week in the third week of June had just really done a lot of electrical damage in this customer's home, and they were buying new products, to give her an understanding of why I didn't go grab the tablet for her, like, immediately, because I was already working with another customer. And I told her that I appreciate her patience, and I appreciate that she let me do my job and make a recommendation on a product. And then she was patient while I had to go get the keys and try different locked cases to go get the product for her and all that. And, and then I told her that we have clientele there that's not as polite and courteous as her and that sort of thing. And, so anyway... that message I sent to her on Facebook, 4:23 p.m. on the afternoon of June 19th. No, it was June 20th. Alexa, what is today's date?
It's Friday, June 21st.
So it was Thursday, June 20th. Okay, that was 4:23 p.m. About 6 o'clock, just after 6 p.m. So almost 2 hours later, I was checking Messenger. I got people that just, well, there's a dude that contacts me in Australia a lot, and then there's a friend of mine in Idaho. So I keep up on Messenger and stuff. And I look to, at the message I sent to Aubrey Schallers, the girl that bought the tablet, where I was letting her know that, I wasn't mad at her or whatever. And then it said, you cannot reply to this conversation. And then I looked to see why, see if it's a glitch or whatever. And nope, she blocked me. She blocked me on there. And just total cold response. And then, so I talked to my friends and stuff about it, and then they think that, she thought that I was flirting with her. Well, my language. And I made sure, and I, posted the screenshots of the message I sent. And everything was very professional and all that, but the fact that I, sent her a private message, she's, they think, or they said that she probably thought that I was being creepy or whatever. I'm thinking, wow. So, people, when I'm, professional and that sort of thing, and people think that I'm flirting with them and that I'm trying to take advantage of them or whatever, or crossing the line of decency, they think that, whenever Christian Noggle, that's me, even contacts them, they think that I'm trying to flirt with them or get together with them or whatever, or get in a relationship that they don't want to be in. I'm like, wow, look at this right here. Look how females treat me. Look at the difference. Christian, the first time I saw you, I couldn't take my eyes off you. That's flirting. Didn't you notice? Now when I see you, I have to turn away because I think naughty thoughts. That's flirting. That's very, very obvious flirting. Oh, how about this? Hope to see you undressed soon. X's and O's with a heart. Love ya, Miranda. May 29th, 1998. Look how old this piece of paper is. Right? I mean, I was still in high school. It was toward the last days of the school year and all that. And this girl was about 3 years younger than me. Now, I was 18 at the time, and she was 15 at the time. But you just see this stuff, and just, friend zoned her and stuff, because I wasn't all that interested in her, and it was just the whole social awkwardness, and, there's a bunch of misandry in the media and pop culture about how men cheat, and men are terrible and they're liars and all this other kind of stuff. And this is during my adolescence in the 1990s, and it just really psychologically affected me, made me feel guilty before I'd even done anything or even had a chance to. Imagine being 12 years old. Yeah, because the stuff I started seeing it in 1990 on TV and all that, then and it just affects it, and just poisons human interactions and stuff. Now, of course, there was the, like I mentioned, the early 2000s where Whitney had called me up and sung love songs at me. That's obvious flirting as well, and she did it several times. But she was always nice to me, so I let it slide. Because I don't want to be, that rude, overreacting person, that cold, inhumane person that just seeks consequences on people for just regular human behaviors or whatever. I don't want to be petty and vindictive. And then, of course, in the year of 2014, when I worked at Amazon in Jeffersonville, Indiana, there were 3 females that would flirt with me a lot, and they're very, very obvious. In the fall of 2014, I was in a relationship with Kiara Leanne Hughes, a girlfriend at the time, and the last girlfriend that I had, that was in late 2014. And in the workplace, Janet Jackson Floyd was lonely, and she told me to my face that I should break up with my girlfriend Kiara and then get together with her because she's lonely. And then a couple months later, she gave me an explanation, that she's just, wanting to get intimate, but she doesn't want to go crawling back to her ex. And I understand. She's a person too. So I just, pretended like the situation didn't happen or whatever. And, just let it slide, because I don't want to be that vindictive, mean person. And then, of course, in the spring and summer of 2014, Vicky Tarvin would flirt with me a lot, and we'd be like in a work area with several employees, maybe about a dozen people, and then she would shout out my name, and she would say, "When are we going out on a date?" And then she would just chuckle and laugh, and just do it a couple times a week for maybe about a month or whatever, and I would just pretend like I didn't hear it, And this is how Christian Noggle handles things when females flirt in a very, very blatant way. I didn't get with Vicky because I'm not all that interested in her. And another thing is she lives too far away for practical driving distance for dating purposes. So, she just is going to have to find somebody that lives closer to her. Not doing the whole long distance kind of thing. It's like half an hour to 40-minute drive from my house to the place where, it's at least a half an hour drive from where I lived to where I worked. And then she lived 20 or whatever minutes, past that. Says she had less of a drive to work than I did, but still the fact that it was just too much of a distance, I didn't get involved with her. And then, and then there's another woman, I forgot her name, and she would flirt with me and that sort of thing, and, like touch me on the shoulder and all this other stuff, and she's always really nice to me. And then, I brought it to her attention that she was flirting with me, and she denied it, of course. She's like, "Oh, no, I'm always like that. I'm just nice to everybody." And then when I demonstrated on an inanimate object what her behaviors were, then it's like it hit her like a ton of bricks, and then she immediately realized the gravity of the situation, what she did, and she's like all apologizing, and she was like all afraid that I was going to take her to HR. And the same thing with Vicky Tarvin. Vicky Tarvin, when I brought it to her attention, she said that she's not going down alone. She'll take others down with her if she gets reported for sexual harassment. So what we see is, we see humans, male and female, worried about consequences for their actions. And they're all trying to find love, amongst each other in society and all that sort of thing. And they're worried about consequences for their actions. But you see that in this game of this, if there's going to be a loser, women very consistently try to make sure that they're the winner. Winning means that they don't get consequences for their action. And they try to make men the loser. Women are people. People have the capacity for insecurities and just all this other stuff. And it's just that they take advantage of the activists' precedents that they said about, men are rapists and men are child molesters and men are abusers and just all this stuff, all this resentment and stuff. It's just stupid. And not all women do this. Now, all women, since they are all humans, have the capability to do this, but, these feelings of resentment that motivates them to do this don't always get triggered in every way in every female, just like they don't get triggered in every way in every person. But the potential to be like this still exists. And just like the potential to get frustrated at something exists in all humans, right? You can say something like, "Hey, how," you say, "Hey, how you doing today?" Right? That's considered very polite and cordial and that sort of thing. And when you say that to somebody as a greeting, it's all fine. Now, when somebody asks you a question, they say, "Hey, how much money does the car wash cost to wash my car? And you say, well, hey, how you doing today? They're then upset because they didn't get an answer. They didn't get the information they expected. And then when they ask you a follow-up question, they ask you to answer their question, and then you just repeat, hey, how are you doing today? And just keep saying those non-offensive words, but when you use them out of context, or especially when you are denying people the results that they expect or the information they expect by just giving them, by interacting with them in a, they feel like it's impeding their progress of getting the information they want. Then they get all mad. It's not that you said something offensive. It's not that you said anything disrespectful or rude or hateful. It's a matter of you did not give them the information that they wanted whenever they requested it, and they felt violated or frustrated or whatever, and then now they want consequences on you. So there's an amazing world inside every human, and this world is made up of causality, causes and effect, but cause and effect occur because of the attributes something has and the context in which these attributes emerge, exist, function, and go on to affect other things. It's like a freaking matrix of information, and it is vast. Now, your brain is capable of processing this kind of stuff, but to account for absolutely everything that a person does all the time, it's a big workload, and it sometimes cannot be done in real time. Sometimes it takes you time to figure things out, you know. But anyway, right now it's June 21st, 2019, and then I go back to work tomorrow, June 22nd. So I'm going to see if Aubrey Scholars is petty enough to go contact my employer and try to get me fired for just something such as like letting her know that I'm not mad at her for being so indecisive about which tablet to buy. And then I'm going to see like exactly how this all plays out, because it's stupid. I mean, the Brett Kavanaugh circus, you know, Christine Blasey Ford had a crush on him back in the early 1980s, and he snubbed her and probably even just friend zoned her. And she just builds all this resentment whenever she sees him like successful and all that later. And then this stuff gets hijacked by the Democratic Party, and Dianne Feinstein and other Democrats sit on all this information for a couple months, and then bring it out for a hearing and all that right before Brett Kavanaugh is supposed to be nominated for Supreme Court Justice. And it's all a bunch of political strategy kind of stuff. And then it all got brought out with the evidence and stuff, and then we find out that Christine Blasey Ford is a liar. She's vindictive, and she's petty and pathetic, and we get to find out what's really going on, and all that could have stayed hidden if she would have kept her mouth shut and not trying to smear this guy right toward the peak of his career. And you just get to see what humans do. And then there's the believe all women movement. It's like, no, it's not that we don't believe women, it's that we're not supposed to believe liars. And then how about all the other women who said that Brett Kavanaugh was an upstanding person that's always treated him very professionally and very cordially for decades? Are we not supposed to believe those women just so we can believe Christine Blasey Ford? So feminists and other activists and identity politics people and all those people can then be satisfied? I mean, it's just stupid. And then there's all the Me Too movement, which for the most part gives Harvey Weinstein a pass for all his sexual deviancy and sex crimes and all that, because, well, at least he votes Democrat. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. I mean, it just tells you that these people are not really serious. It's just this politics stuff, and they're just pathetic. But anyway, Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 1:29 p.m.
Alexa, what is today's date?
Today is Friday, June 21st.
Alexa, what is the year?
The current year is 2019. Other customers have also asked, what is the month? Would you like to know the answer?
No. And now this is the end of this video here. Hope you learned something.